please hit that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live.
Hey everybody, so when the Pittsburgh Penguins traded for Kasperi Kapanen in that deal with Toronto, we knew that the Pittsburgh Penguins were not even close to being done making moves this offseason. They're still not close to being done. I think there's going to be a lot more moves made by Pittsburgh here, but yesterday they did make another move, trading Nick Bjugstad to the Minnesota Wild in exchange for a conditional 7th round draft pick. So there's quite a bit to unpack here. Before we fully get into it, I just ask that you please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Both of those things really help out a lot and are very much appreciated. But let's start looking at it here. So Nick Bjugstad basically missed all of last year because of injuries. He barely played for Pittsburgh. This was a guy, he's 28 years old. When he was a young player with the Florida Panthers, he was a highly touted young player. He was looked at as being a very good two-way forward, a guy who can, lock down a second-line center spot or a third-line center spot and be a really effective player in that two-way type of role. But his career over the past few seasons has really suffered and gone downhill. Injuries have certainly played a big part in that. Offensive production has significantly declined as well, and he found himself on his way out of Florida to Pittsburgh, and he didn't really even get a chance to show what he could do with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He was injured for so much of his time there in Pittsburgh, and now Pittsburgh has shipped him out and sent him to Minnesota and basically got nothing in return. And that is, I think, one of the big, things of this trade is that all they could get for Nick Bjugstad is a conditional 7th round draft pick. That's it. That shows how far Bjugstad's value has dropped over the past few seasons, and just, how far downhill his career has gone with the lack of offense and with the injuries. And this is a fresh start for Bjugstad. He goes to a team in Minnesota that desperately needs some better forwards, that desperately needs some more offense from their forwards, and have struggled to put up a lot of points. And, they're a team that's kind of on the older side that is looking to get younger. Bjugstad's 28, so he's kind of right in that center spot of his career, right in the middle there, the prime. And he's going to be playing with some younger players like, a Jordan Greenway and a Ryan Donato and Kevin Fiala and guys like that. But they also still have that very much older core there with, guys like Zach Parise and Eric Stahl in the forward group as well as Matt Zuccarello. So Minnesota's kind of in an interesting spot right now where they're not really young, but they're not really old. They kind of have some of each, and they're not really good, but they're not really bad. They're kind of one of those middle-of-the-road type teams. And it's going to be a fresh start for Bjugstad and a chance to show what he can do again. He's from Minnesota, so he's going back home. I think that could be a really good, beneficial thing for him. Obviously, things did not go well in Pittsburgh. And for the Penguins, I think you look at this as mostly a cap dump. Now, they did have to retain half of Bjugstad's salary, so he was making $4.1 million per season. Pittsburgh retains half of that, so that's $2.05 million, but it does free up another $2.05 million for the Penguins to use, which is very important for them because they are a team that is crunched right up against that salary cap ceiling. So cap is a big issue for them. And I think at this point, that's kind of why they made this deal and why they were okay with only getting a 7th round pick back in return. Because this wasn't about getting a player back or about trying to improve the team, with this move directly. I think it was about getting that salary cap space opened, getting a couple more mil opened up under the salary cap, and moving on from a player that, quite frankly, Pittsburgh didn't really need, didn't perform all that well with Pittsburgh, and obviously had major injury problems to the point where he barely played last year, so he wasn't an asset to the Penguins lineup to begin with. So I think that they were more than happy just to be able to move on from that. And again, for Bjugstad, I like the fresh start. I think this is going to give him an opportunity, hopefully, to get healthy before next season starts. Hopefully to be ready to go at the start of training camp, to go back home to his home state, to play for the Minnesota Wild, who are, his home state's team, and play on a team where he's going to have a chance to. With Mikko Koivu probably not going back to the Wild, I think his career with Minnesota is over. I think his NHL career in general could potentially be over. We'll see if anyone takes a swing at him this offseason. But I don't see Mikko Koivu going back, and that's going to open up a center slot for the Minnesota Wild. And I think Bjugstad is going to try to come in and be that Mikko Koivu-esque type player who can, chip in offensively and be, an asset to the team, but be mostly a two-way lockdown defensive center and try to play that role very well for the Wild. So, again, I like this in a lot of different directions. I think it can be really good for Bjugstad. For Pittsburgh, I completely understand what they're doing. They 100% were trying to dump salary here. They were trying to move on from a player that did not work out. No, they did not get a lot in return in that conditional draft pick, but I think for them, the cap space is what's most important right here, not necessarily the direct return for Bjugstad. It's more about the cap space. So that's pretty much my thoughts on that deal. With that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, our donation link, merch store, and Patreon are also down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.